got time to complain. I'm going to press on. I expect all of you to march with me and press on. Take off your bedroom slippers. Put on your marching shoes. Shake it off. Stop complaining. Stop grumbling. Stop crying. We are going to press on. We've got work to do. CBC.
That was President Obama this weekend at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner, where 2008's Fired Up and Ready to Go became 2011's Please Stop Complaining and Take Off Your Slippers. Some in the audience were perplexed.
I don't know who the president was talking to, and he certainly could not have been talking to the unemployed people. They're not just grumbling, they're asking for help. I think he got carried away, got off script and got a little bit, beside himself, but I certainly don't believe that he thinks that the Congressional Black Caucus is sitting around in house slippers or bed slippers or whatever the things are. I don't own them, and I don't understand the image that was being described there.
The president is obviously discovering that the rhetoric of a re-election campaign is more complicated than the inspirational rhetoric of his historical 2008 campaign. Joining me now to discuss how this newly energized Barack Obama is really doing among his base is Eugene Robinson, associate editor and columnist for The Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst. Thanks for joining me tonight, Gene.
Great to be here, Lawrence.
Gene, it looked like he went off script there and maybe got a little bit carried away. I can understand how that happens, but I get Maxine Waters' reaction, too. What exactly did he mean?
Well, I'm not sure. He clearly veered off course with bedroom slippers. Okay, he's got to, he's got to drop that line from the next time he speaks to that audience. The rest of the speech, though, really, I think, was basically what he has to say. I mean, he needs to fire up African American voters. It's not that they're going to defect. No matter who the Democratic candidate is, that candidate will be able to count on 80%, 85%, whatever, of the African-American vote. The question for the president is maximizing that African-American vote, getting as many black voters to the polls as possible, which will make all the difference in a city like Philadelphia, for example, which will make all the difference in a state like Pennsylvania, which he's got to win.
Yeah, and to be fair, we just excerpted the one and only section of the president's speech that had any kind of odd ring to it at all. It was, in fact, a very successful speech to that audience. But it's tough, Gene, when you're running as the incumbent president. The unemployment in the black community well over 16%. Unemployment among workers in the younger ages, in the 20 to 25 age group, also over 16%. It's very difficult to come up with the inspirational rhetoric when you have the burden of incumbency, isn't it?
No, it is really hard. It's much harder than, as Sarah Palin would call it, that hopey-changey stuff that he so successfully used last time around. But again, the challenge really is motivating voters. And how else is he going to do it except try to fire them up? You can't credibly promise that the day after the election everything's going to be different. I think you have to establish a contrast and be the guy who's fighting for the audience. He's fighting for black Americans. He's fighting for young people. He's fighting for new voters. And as opposed to the Republicans, draw the contrast and see if you can boost that turnout.
Let's listen to what he said about the challenge of the unemployed at a town hall meeting today in California.
What would be your statement of encouragement for those who are looking for work today?
The encouraging thing for you is that when the economy gets back on track in the ways that it should, you are going to be prepared to be successful. The challenge is making sure that you hang in between now and then.
Gene, that is going to be the toughest question that the president's going to be faced with throughout the campaign is what do you say to the unemployed? What do you do? What can they look forward to? He's got to be able to expand on it beyond that kind of answer, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think he has to say more than, just hang on for a while. As he himself has pointed out, people don't particularly feel they can wait 14 months or 2 years or however long it is. I think he's got to give some sense of movement toward fuller employment, if not absolutely full employment, and give people a sense that they're moving toward a job rather than just marking time until the economy gets better.
And, Gene, I want to get your reaction to what I can only call the confusion in Florida this weekend, the triumphant victory of Herman Cain. That looks like, to me, a very good weekend for the president politically, with the Republicans in that kind of disarray and kind of shocking surprise outcome.
Could hardly have been better for the president, I think. The longer this confusion persists, the better for him. It is clear that the Republican base does not warm to Mitt Romney and may never warm to Mitt Romney, and that Rick Perry has been a real disappointment to that base, the result of which there's now this huge clamor for Chris Christie. So as long as they keep, they're in this flavor of the month mode, bring in more, bring in the next guy, then that's all good for the president.
MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Great to be here, Lawrence.